Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the first week of September. And as you've probably heard me say before, this is a critical month. This is where everything comes down and the change is totally upon us. And even the very first day of September will start out with a big bang, because what we're looking at is Mars will be in an exact quincunx to Saturn on September 1st. And this is a difficult aspect. Don't expect things to go easy or flow comfortably today, because the quincunx deals with accidents, upsets, and with it being with Saturn, there can be some type of endings or problems that happen today. Just remember, this is a day where you're going to feel frustrated, stifling events will be happening, and there could possibly be the advent of a health scare. You know, they're talking more and more about another variant with COVID, and this is what I think is going to be upon us throughout the fall season in the Northern Hemisphere. The moon will be in Pisces on this day, and it's going to be in the nakshatra Uttara Bhadrapada. This is important because this deals with deep, deep things. And the other thing I want to add is the moon will be conjunct Neptune. So you're going to find that you can't see things clearly. And when things do come out, they'll be so confusing because you don't understand where it's coming from. Neptune deals with confusion. It deals with upsets, fog, where you can't see things correctly, and it deals with deception and illusions. A lot of this is going around. We can't understand what's happening here with all the frustration, the confusion, accidents, events that plague this whole month, but it starts out with a bang on this first day of September. So moving into September 2nd, we still have the moon in Pisces, and it will be in the nakshatra Revati. Revati is the very last nakshatra. Pisces is the very last sign of the zodiac. So things are coming to an end, things are closing out. But it's a much better day than the day before, because with this day, Revati is a much kinder nakshatra. But we still have difficulty because we have the moon and it is in a quincunx. See, this is the issue with September. We have all of these quincunxes happening, which are the most unbalanced aspect. The planets are in a position where they don't work together. There's problems. It's creating problems throughout the world. This quincunx adds we can't think during this day. Our mind is clouded. There's frustration. And of course, the truth is not being forthcoming in every area of our personal life, as well as what's going on globally. So here's the thing, don't make up your mind today. Don't make any decisions, because chances are you're going to be changing your mind as soon as the moon changes signs the next day. So now we have September 3rd. And September 3rd, the moon will be in Aries. It will have just entered into Aries. And this happens around 1 o'clock in the morning. This is, remember, I'm doing this from where I'm at, Central Time Zone. But it's going to be conjunct Rahu today. And when it conjuncts Rahu, this will be in the early morning hours. And this makes for something very intense. Feelings, emotions are intense. People are acting erratically. They're not being normal. Things are going a bit out of control. Why? Because the moon is going to conjunct Rahu, and Rahu is Gandanta. You hear me talk about this all the time. Gandanta's what? Gandanta means out of control. Just remember that. So people are acting irrationally. They are impulsive, impatient, and it's a very intense day emotionally. So what do you need to do? Be calm, be cool, be collected. Make the best of this day where you're not caught up in the rat race of all the crazy emotional events. So now we come to September 4th. And September 4th, we have an array of events happening. So this is a very eventful day because on this day, Jupiter will be in an exact trine to Mercury. But Mercury is retrograde and it is moving very fast in backward formation, which means things are going backwards. It's time to reflect and review. But you can get a lot done with Jupiter casting a trine to this Mercury. Why? Well, because this is the day that Jupiter is also turning retrograde. So that actually means that Jupiter is stationing, and that's when a planet is its most potent. So Jupiter stationing, aspecting Mercury by the trinal aspect, which is an aspect of luck and fortune. So as Jupiter aspects Mercury, we're able to get some answers. We can think clearly when we go back and review and try to dig up the facts to get our answers. So today we'll be very successful in finding the answers to things that have been going wrong. Use this day constructively. Another thing that happens on September 4th is Venus turns direct. Very interesting that we have one planet, Jupiter, turning retrograde, and we have Venus turning direct. And Venus turning direct means the affairs with our relationships will begin to move forward. Things won't be stuck in the past. We won't be reliving the past. And now we can move forward and better understand how to live and operate in loving, good relationships. Because throughout this Venus retrograde, we have gained a lot of information concerning ourselves and how we relate with others. So another thing is, let's talk about the moon. The moon is going to be in Aries, and it's going to be in the nakshatra Bharani. Bharani is a difficult nakshatra. It deals with breakthroughs, but in order to have a breakthrough, you got to go through some upsets. So in other words, you got to go through the fire to get to the other side for the rebirth. And it will be conjunct Jupiter. The moon will be conjunct Jupiter, but then it's going to cross over Uranus, which means expect the unexpected. Things are changing today. Things are going to be unpredictable. And all of a sudden, things will come out and change. So one thing about Jupiter turning retrograde, I will say this, it will affect the economy big time. So you're going to start hearing more and more about the woes of financial reports and working reports, but most of all, watch that stock market. It's going down for this coming, especially towards October. So we're approaching this downfall and changes with the economy with this Jupiter going retrograde. So this is going to be a time of major shifts. This day, you're going to feel it. Let's move on to September 5th. This is where the moon is going to shift out of Aries and it will be in Taurus. And remember, the moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus. So feelings become more stable, we get more grounded, we're more earthy, down to earth. Things are coming together because the moon loves to be in Taurus, but it is in the nakshatra called Kritika. And Kritika deals with getting to the point. So this is a day when you can express yourself with great conviction. drive right to the point, and people will appreciate you. People will appreciate that, you know, that you just don't beat around the bush and you say it like it is. That's what this day is all about. So moving on to September 6th. September 6th, now remember we have Mercury still retrograde, and this day Mercury will exactly conjunct the Sun. Now I find it very interesting that people say, oh, you don't talk about planets being combust. Well, it just goes to show you don't understand the whole retrograde process, because when either Venus or Mercury are retrograde, they're always combust the Sun, because they're always with the Sun. This is part of the retrograde cycle. And yes, they're combust the Sun, although I will say this, Mercury is always about 75% of the time with the Sun. So do you want to say that most everyone has Mercury combust the Sun? Actually, in Vedic astrology, there's a yoga called the Yoga of the Sun Mercury Yoga, which is Aditi Bhutya Yoga, Surya Bhuti Yoga, which means great intelligence. So you can't say that. I think many say that Mercury is really never affected so much by the Sun with combustion because it's always there. But let me say this, that when it is exactly conjunct the Sun, and this is actually when it's retrograde with the Sun and it conjoins, it's called the inferior conjunction. When Mercury is on the other side, in other words, here you have the Earth, the Sun, and Mercury on the other side. Right now with the inferior conjunction, you have Earth, Mercury, Sun, and they're conjunct. But when Mercury's on the other side and conjuncts the Sun, it's called the superior conjunction. And that's when Mercury is moving at its tip-top speed and is not retrograde. But this is the day Mercury conjuncts the Sun, 19 degrees of Leo. So we're looking at a lot of things, deep things are coming to the forefront that need to be looked at from behind, because we're looking at this retrograde intensity with the Sun. So this is going to bring out all the things that have been stifling, had been stuck from this Mercury retrograde with Mercury in the inferior conjunction with the Sun. And the moon today is in its favorite nakshatra, which gives a little relief, Rohini. And today is a day where you can have a much more positive point of view emotionally, because the moon is in a great place. The moon is actually, it's a waning quarter moon, so it's getting to be a stronger moon. But in Rohini, emotionally, this is a good time to relax. In Taurus, it's time to appreciate and love the beauty of this world. Appreciate nature. Go for a walk. Contemplate. This is a rich day for mental, deep thought, to look into things and how things can be healed, because Mercury is conjunct the Sun retrograde, but the moon being in Taurus gives a sense of peace of mind. So a lot can be done today in terms of reflection and reanalyzing everything in your life. This is a good day for the mind. September 7th, the moon is still in Taurus, but by 1 p.m. Central Time, it will go into Gemini. And while it's in Gemini, this whole day, it's going to be in the nakshatra called Mrigashira. And this nakshatra is very, very strong because it's ruled by Mars. So this is a time of searching, looking for things. And I find that this nakshatra means you're going to find the things that you have been looking for. Many times people that have this nakshatra strong in their chart, they have collections. So this is a day to go for a search to find that final piece to add to your collection, whatever it is that's been missing. So this is also because we know that the moon is in Gemini. This is a time for communications, getting out, talking with people, expressing yourself. It's a day for you to visualize, because vision will be clearer with the moon going into Gemini. But also on this day, the moon is going to be square Neptune, but trine Saturn. And trining Saturn means you're going to have more discipline, more focus. But with the square for Neptune, just use this day to express yourself and use your imagination, and your communications will start to flow out. Even though we do have a hard aspect with Neptune, that can sometimes make us more creative. So this is a day that searching, shopping, finding things that have been lost, that's what this day's for. So that concludes our first week in September. Use these days as I have been directing you. Remember that astrology gives us guidance, gives us direction. Use the stars to plan your days, and you will be more successful in your life. So with that, before I close, remember, if you want all of these written out, everything that I've just gone over, you can sign up for my free newsletter, where you will get a written transcript of all of these predictions in detail, day by day, through what? My free newsletter. You get all this information for free. Yes, it is a lot of work and it's a lot of information. So take advantage of this. Go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and sign up for my free newsletter. Get all of my predictions delivered to your email address absolutely free. And with that, while you're there, don't forget to check out all my classes. I have such a great array of classes. Shooting Stars, come talk with me. We'll talk about how to grow spiritually weekly. And also I have a monthly magazine, Joni Patry's Astrology Insights. Don't miss it. We have amazing articles where you're going to be learning more and more about Vedic astrology. And if you want to take it to another level, study with me, become my student, check into my university. All online, University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.